I was to start a business from the ground up, so let's say that I had nothing. I didn't have a website, I didn't have a name, and I was like starting out. And I was like, all right, I got to redo this whole thing. I got to start fresh. Or if you're out there and you don't have a business and you're like, I'd like to be an entrepreneur. I'd like to start a company. Maybe you don't want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you just want to be a business owner. You want to own something. You want to build equity in something that you could eventually get to run without you and then sell to someone, right? That's the dream, right? So if I was to start, the first thing you've got to do, this seems obvious, but this video is just going to be kind of an overarching theme about like what are the first steps you need to take. And the first one is a really great name. I think people gloss over that. A lot of people name their companies some really terrible things, and that's really no good. You know, you really need to focus in and focus in on what the name's going to be, and then think about in that name what kind of logo, what kind of mark could you have that people could gravitate towards, that people could find interesting. And so within that logo, it needs to look modern. It also kind of needs to look timeless because when you're starting out, you're essentially faking it till you make it because you don't have a portfolio, you don't have any kind of case studies. It doesn't really matter what it is, whether it's professional services or you're a service provider. If you've want to start a lawn care business, but you've never cut anybody's lawn other than your own, well, I mean, you can take pictures of your lawn. Hopefully it looks good and that works, right? But that's the point is in the beginning, you're just going to try to gather, um, you know, as much as you can, and any kind of photos, any kind of things that you could say, hey, this is an example of what I can do for you, right? So in the very beginning, and I'm talking like no money, no revenue, no customers, no anything. Forget systems. You don't even need systems yet. You can manage it all on a a legal pad. That's fine. Totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. You need a way to accept money. Well, that's pretty easy. We can talk about that. And then you need somewhere to write everything down. Systems are great, but I think there's a lot of people who get really caught up on systems. And then what happens is when you go too systematized in the beginning, and lots of college educated smart people try to be systematized in the beginning, is that by the time you actually need those systems, you built the wrong systems. You're like, oh, we're going to use this platform, but then you actually start using the platform and realize that that platform is really not a great fit. All right, so higher arching over first is a name, right? You got to have a name. It's got to be great. Okay. Next thing is you got to have a logo. We'll put logo right here. Maybe I'll add a little things to this video. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just say logo. So you need a great logo and you need something that's modern but timeless. Okay. Next is you need a website. Okay. All right. 30,000-foot view of the website. Home, about, services, contact, or home, about, products, shop, contact. That's it. The number one most visited page on any site that we've ever done, we've built, managed hundreds, I don't know, 500, 600 websites for 600 customers at this point. No matter what the website is, the number one most visited page is the homepage. Well, duh, that was easy. Okay. Well, what's the number two most visited page? The about page, especially for service providers, professional service, anybody in that realm. Maybe not for e-commerce. That's a different thing. And my two e-commerce brands, I can talk a little bit about what makes those special and, what you can kind of do in those areas. But for a service provider, if you're starting out and you're like, I need to get some revenue in, maybe you just got laid off. There's a lot of layoffs happening right now. You're like, I need to go start something up. First thing, name. Second thing, logo. Third thing, website. Okay. Home, about, services, contact. That's about all you need to start with, right? You just need a presence there, and you need to start the Google and now AI clock, right? Because if you don't have a digital presence, or what we sometimes will call here at Story, we'll call it a digital footprint. You have no digital footprint whatsoever, you need to get out there. And so, that's super important out of the gate, to get a website, get it there, get it indexed by Google, which it's not actually going to get indexed very easy if you don't have any backlinks. All right. So your first great backlink, getting to the next phase of this, is Google Business. everybody can have a Google business page. So I own the Rocking Chair Company, which is an e-commerce online rocking chair company. We sell rocking chairs. It has a Google business page because it has to have it needs one. And also it's one of the first backlinks that you can get that links back to your website that says, hey, we're a real business, we're open for business, please come shop here. Right. So it doesn't really matter if you're a service provider, you're producing a product, you're an industrial company. I don't care. It really doesn't matter. Everybody needs a Google business page when you're starting out because it's the first best backlink that you could get. Okay. And then, of course, if you do any Google search right now, you're going to see three things. You'll see the ads at the top. You'll see the maps, usually if it's a local service, right? And then you'll see organic listings below. They're all important. Okay, why? So a great mentor of mine taught me all about this, and I want to share it with you. And it's because I think we as marketers, as business owners, as people, we look at customers as all the same. We look at prospects as all the same. The reality is that they're not all the same. Okay. And so what happens is that I have a personality, I have a buying style, a buying type. You have a personality, you have a buying style, a buying type, right? And so if you use the DISC personality test, a person who's a high D is going to have a different buying style than a a high I. So the D is very deterministic, driven, making quick decisions. The I just wants to have fun. Eyes are great customers. For marketing agencies, we love eyes. They love to have fun. Then you've got the C and you've got the S. The C's are probably going to look at just about everything on that page. They're going to look at the ads. They're going to look at the maps. They're going to look at the organic below, right? So all of that's important. But when you're starting out, you're not going to be in the organic below. You can be in the maps, probably not right away, but maybe depending on how fast you can ramp up, how well you fill that Google business page out and optimize it. And I can do a video on that. But starting out, that's what you've got to do is you got to, get the name, get the logo, build a website, get the Google business page set up right away. Along with that, other social medias like Facebook, Instagram, super, super easy. The only reason I would warn not to set those yet is if you don't plan to post to them. Like 15 years ago, everybody had a blog. And then, it was the joke that you go on their blog, and this is like I have this memory from like 2011. You go on the blog and our company's blog, and you click on it, and then it's like, oh, they hadn't posted since 2007, and you're like, what are you doing? Right? You hadn't posted this blog in 5 years. Social media accounts have kind of come the same way, where it's like people are just they have it, but then they don't post to it. And if they don't post to it, then you're kind of, if they have it and they're not posting it to it, you're kind of like, are the lights still on? Are they still like an actual business? What are they doing? So I would encourage you to set those up. Yes, they're good backlinks, but if you're not actually posting to them and actually sending what we call social signals to, the search engines like Google and Bing, and to now AI engines like Grok and ChatGPT and Perplexity and all the others, um, probably not something you should do yet, right? So, within the GEO, which is our AI optimization of how a business is going to be found, we don't really know how that's going to shape up yet, but it's coming, and we're going to figure, everybody's going to figure out eventually how to game that system, how to come up. I actually just got a lead for story the other day. Asked the fella, hey, thanks for so much for contacting us. Why'd you contact us? How'd you hear about us? And he said, well, I have a friend, and he said, have you ever heard of Chat GPT? And this guy said, no, I've never used it. And he said, well, go on there and ask. This fella's starting a business. He went on and said, hey, I need a great marketing company for this type of company that he was starting. And lo and behold, story marketing was served up through ChatGPT. And that's how he found us. That's how he contacted us. So it's here. You need to have a plan for it if you don't, because search traffic is down. We're seeing reports, depending on the industry, the queries, it's anywhere between 20 and 40% that Google is losing ground. At the same time, we've heard from Microsoft reps that Bing, DuckDuckGo, all of their networks that feed into that, AOL, Yahoo, the Microsoft networks are actually up. They actually have around 18, 19% market share for searching, which is really cool because that's a very new thing at the time of this video. And so, 30,000 foot view, that's what I would do if I was starting any business. Yeah, you know, if I wanted to reset and start a business. Now, obviously, you need to be good at what you do. You can't skip on that. Like, you actually have to do what you say you're going to do, answer the phone when somebody calls, right? Give people good customer service. And then going back to those systems is when you grow and you have cash flow, start investing in maybe simple systems, cheap systems. Don't go, if you need an invoicing system, go get the one that costs $10 a month, not the one that costs $1,000 a month. Yeah, the one that has $1,000 a month probably has a lot of features, but as a small business, you don't really need them. I'm big on maximization. If we're going to pay for a platform here at Story, I want to use that platform to its entirety, like 100%. As much as we can use that platform, I want to use every feature, facet, and really maximize that investment. If not, then the team around here will tell you I like to cancel them. I'm like, let's get rid of that. I don't want to pay for anything that's not of use to our agency, not use to our customers. If we're not using it, we're going to lose it. So, in other videos, I can kind of break down how to choose a name, how to choose a logo, um, you know, website best practices. Hey, how do you actually optimize a Google business page? What's some starting things you can do? And lastly, is organic SEO. Where do I even start? I think there's so many companies that like the idea of being found in Google, but they don't even know where to start. And then they reach out to an agency like us. We'll give them a price to do that, and they go, "Oh gosh, that's just so much." It is, but it's an investment, right? And it's a lot of time that you have to take to actually make those things happen. And so I can create videos on some of those if anybody's interested.